Hi, this is my week 2 discussion board video, and after looking at the list of topics that we are supposed to incorporate into our discussion board, I actually want to include 3 of the topics. Those topics are professionalism, cultural humility, and diversity. And I chose those because this week I worked with a family that is Middle Eastern descent. Um, they have been here 21 years. The wife and the family speaks English, very easy to communicate with her. She's very Americanized in many ways, but she still does hold on to her Muslim belief system. She continues to wear the appropriate clothing and keeping her head covered. Um, and the husband, on the other hand, he's also been here for about 21 years, and he does not speak any English. He, although was very nice and attempted to communicate with me, there was a language barrier, so the wife interpreted for us. I was called in to work with this family because the husband was into the office because he was having severe anxiety and panic attacks. And they made the decision that they needed to speak to me because it seemed to be very connected to some recent events that have happened in their lives, and they thought maybe I might be able to help them. So what had happened with this family is that they both lost their jobs, and they are searching for jobs right now, but they needed a little bit of assistance. So they applied for ADC through an agency here in Lincoln. The caseworker, I'm not sure what this person's title is, case manager, social worker, but the person that was assigned to them, they felt was not the best fit. This woman was very short with them. When they went and asked her what was going on with the ADC, because they had already applied and they hadn't heard anything, she just cut them off and said, well, I called you, you didn't respond, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, so therefore you're denied. And my client said, well, what number did you call me at? They showed her the number that they called her at, and she said, well, that's not even my phone number, so how am I supposed to respond if you're not calling the correct phone number? My client felt like this treatment, and there were additional things that occurred, were based on the worker's own prejudice against her. As I said, my client is Middle Eastern descent. She continues to wear, I can't remember the name of the headscarf, but she continues to wear that. Although she's very Americanized, she still holds on to some of those traditions. And so she felt that this worker had discriminated against her because of this. So she was not very trusting of social workers. She was not very trusting of anybody that was going to give her any direction on how to maybe get some assistance. So I spent about 45 minutes with them just trying to gain their trust, to accept my referral and accept the fact that I would not be treating them in the same way that they had been treated by this other worker. In the end, they did accept my referral. I referred them on to an agency in town that has a lot of services for refugees and immigrants in this country. We have a large population of refugees and immigrants in Lincoln, and so there are some additional services for some of this population. So I guess this experience made me see that as social workers, we are going to have to remain professional, but we're also going to have to make up for how someone else was not professional sometimes. 45 minutes of just gaining this family's trust, trying to get them to calm down enough to take my advice. This was also a great example of how, we're going to have a diverse population. And I believe that we all come to the table with different ideas and preconceived notions about different populations and diverse groups. And as social workers, we have to overcome some of those. Some of it will be something that we do on our own. Some of it is just being exposed to different groups of people. With this particular worker, I don't know why she struggled with this family and why this family felt that this was a cultural and religious issue, but that's what they felt it was. So maybe this was not the best population for this worker to work with. Also, they had an interpreter come and didn't even ask my client what language they spoke, just assumed it was Arabic. Well, she speaks Kurdish. So that's where some cultural humility could have come into play. So I guess I'm supposed to ask a question. So my question to you is, what population of people do you think is going to be challenging to work with based on some of your preconceived notions? How are you going to overcome some of those beliefs?